What's good, everybody? It's your man Big Don coming live now at you another TruPlayaz Podcast episode with my brother here, JoeyG. The 3-year anniversary episode of the podcast, TruPlayaz Podcast. First episode was on June 27, 2018. You know what I'm saying?
Woo. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. A lot of fun times. You know, when the show first started, bro, I started off by myself. So the first 10 episodes was by myself, really.
Yeah.
Probably even more than that. Probably like first 10 to 15 episodes, and then we weren't even doing it live. I was still doing recorded audios.
Right.
And then I think when you first went, was it me? Was it? Wait a second. Which episode did you come on first, though? Did you come on the time we came on with another classmate of ours, Hanif, on the NFL with Pantaleo? We talked about Pantaleo and all that stuff, and Jay-Z becoming part of the planning for the Super Bowl halftime show. Was that the first episode that you came on, and Hanif was the first guest host on the show?
I want to say the first episode that I remember coming on the show, it had to do with Game of Thrones. After that, when you did have Hanif as a special guest, I believe it was later on, and yeah, it was something along those lines. It was something to do with the football issue, but it was also directed towards the situations with like Eric Garner and things of that situation. But we were trying to find the balance on the right protocol to address police officers so that incidents didn't happen the way the outcomes did.
We did mention about Colin Kaepernick as well. We did speak about that as well.
Yeah, we did. I mean, in the beginning stages, it was more, when I got on, it was more of the Game of Thrones aspect. Then later on, I got more involved in the day-to-day conversations, the more harder conversations dealing with race issues, policing, and just incidents that happened that just made you scratch your head, like, how is that possible, and why didn't you have discretion going into that situation? Oh, let's not forget power.
Yeah. Hey, you know what it is, bro. I'm so upset at myself for not having episodes about Power Book 2 the first season.
Right.
Raising Canaan is about 15 days from now.
Right. But what better way to start it off? The 3rd year anniversary right before that.
Yeah, so we could definitely do that. We could definitely tackle that issue as well. And also,
we're basically getting back to our roots. Is basically what I'm saying.
Exactly. Get back to our roots. Also, I want to thank everybody who's been on the show, whether it was your wife, Denise, Proph4C, Black Rose, our brother Ricky Brown, who's not with us today. We hope to have him here with us today, sometime later in the show if possible. Who else did we have on the show? That was we had Carmine on the show as the first female to jump on the show. And we also had I did my interview with Yolanda Brathwaite, aspiring entrepreneur. She's on a book tour right now for Girls Pep Talk. I want to give her a big shout out for that. And we had the TruPlayaz Podcast is only going to grow. And I feel that, remember, we even you spoke about, dabbling about possibly changing the name of the TruPlayaz Podcast because of pressures from potential sponsors. And I made a decision to keep it TruPlayaz Podcast. Because if we change the name, it wouldn't be TruPlayaz.
I understand that. It's a good direction to go into, and I understand to keep the independence and keep the creative rights. It keeps it yours and it keeps it original. The only thing I would suggest moving forward, um, it would be registered trademark.
We,
Trademark it.
we're gonna definitely work on that as well. Definitely trademark that stuff. That's the next step.
Mhm.
I did the one thing I want to apologize for everybody who's watching the show. I did promise for us to be in a live studio. Due to circumstances, as far as Joey G's concerned, he couldn't make it up to New York
Yeah.
to
This
do
time.
the show. This time, couldn't do the show up in New York. And my situation was I did go out and check out the studio. At the time, due to the short time constraint for us to put out this episode, I did not feel comfortable at the time to do the podcast from the studio as of yet. Now, come August, when I get to do some trial runs in the studio that we plan on using for most of the podcasts from here on out. Um, the first official episode will be at the studio in August with Joey G and hopefully my brother Ricky Brown, the Trinity of the TruPlayaz Podcast.
See if I can scoop him up.
Exactly.
See if we can scoop him up. Get him out of there at least for a short visit, if anything. Get us to do the podcast and basically catch up because it's been a minute
That's right.
since this
All
Trinity
three
has
of us.
been, yeah, this Trinity's been together. So it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we look forward to that definitely. As well as, let me ask you a question, but before we go into the topics of this podcast,
Okay.
what did you take from this podcast? Seeing me go on live and doing the podcast, how did that motivate you and the Big Combo and Family podcast as well?
Okay. Earlier today, I did a short shout out for beer combo and family, excuse me. And we basically were. I thank you for bringing us into that fold because to be honest with you, I've been having reservations about being on air talking. Um, didn't feel my voice was relevant enough to put myself out there. I was waiting for the perfect situation where the audio had to be right, the camera had to be right, the lighting had to be right. You debunked a lot of the thought processes that were hindering me from actually putting my best foot forward and actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I was able to do it, even though it wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. I was glad that I did it because it put me in that atmosphere, and I was like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Okay.
Um, Over the years, watching you from the beginning till now, the 3 years, I see how dedicated you are and how passionate you are. Sports is your thing. I've known you for years, so to hear you talk sports like Matthew Miranda, uh, shout out to him. To see you guys back in the day with your statistics and you guys knew the players backwards and forwards, not just the player stats, but the team stats, and then you knew the managers and you knew the workings behind the scenes on how they made certain trades possible and what was more beneficial to the teams and things like that. So having that as a outline to look at and see the progression from then till now, I mean, yeah, it motivated me in a specific way to come forward and be a part of the show, not just your show, but also to move towards mine. You even gave me a guest spot on the show, venting with Joey G, which I
Okay.
appreciated because that's what most people do with me. They vent with me.
Right.
Your expertise is relationship wise. My expertise is venting. I'm one of those people. People like to vent too, and I love listening, and I love trying to give people the advice they need. It's easier for me to give somebody else advice than to actually give myself or take my own advice. It's just how I've always seen everything. Now that I'm later in my years, I'm starting to understand how to apply those same things I talk to other people in my life.
Hmm.
Uh, that's, I mean, the rundown of it. This show has helped me with a lot of different things, depression wise, and my personal therapy, and putting myself out there instead of being what you would call reclusive. Like
Hmm.
I'm not a people person. I'm not a people person, but on here you get to see the character of myself. You get to see who I am around comfortable people, and you get to see what I think behind the mind that maybe has a stern face that you've passed on the street, or if you see me work and I was quiet, you know that inside there's a different type of being. So I'm happy to put that foot forward, and I'm happy to share that. I also have to uh, say while my wife was on the show, actually enjoyed it. She actually enjoyed being on the show. And it was a time where we were going through something internally, and she expected our conversation to translate on the TruPlayaz podcast. She expected a confrontation to happen between me and her, and maybe a crossfire with with the conversation based on the conversation that we were having. And I showed her a totally different side. I showed her my side of impartial, and I could get my point across um, on a general level and make you feel comfortable expressing yourself and not catch feelings towards it. Genuinely, that's what type of person I am. But outside of the public eye and in my own private area, I'm more of a reactive person. If emotions are reacted towards me, sometimes I just react to those without taking those considerations into effect. But I've learned how to manage that. And I want to say it's accredited to being a part of the show and listening more than talking. It's something. It's something that's developed over time. It's nothing that's overnight, but it's given me the tools, not just in here, but outside, to take it to the job and to take it to different social functions. So it's been very beneficial as far as that. I could actually walk into a situation and be a little bit more comfortable, even if I don't know people.
Right.
Before I hated. I can tell you I hated going into anywhere that I didn't know anybody. I loathed it. But that was just a little bit to give you what True Players Podcast have given to me. I mean, you see, I got you on the wall up here. I got you with the Marvel characters. That's not even the DC yet. DC, I got some DC up there, but I mean, that's the wall.
If anybody DC that shows my persona, you got to say it's Batman.
Oh, Batman's here. He's just on the opposite side. He's over. Is it this shoulder? No, it's this shoulder. He's on this shoulder, but next to Prince. He's next to Prince, because
Most,
Prince is rocking that bike that looks like the Batmobile. It's just in purple.
man, listen. This podcast, once again, me and you talked about this back in 2000
Hmm. Oh
about
yeah,
having our own radio station. First, we thought about having to open up a strip club together.
yeah.
We did fun with that, and as well as having a studio in the strip club. And then while
Hmm.
the strip club's going up upstairs, we have a music studio downstairs. People
Right.
do their thing, everyone's happy. But due to the circumstances, especially now with COVID and close, you and I both grew out of that strip club mentality per se,
Right.
and we grew out of that. So it's not even the same for us to go to strip clubs anymore. I mean, I will indulge every once in a while, but you know. the way we did it back in the day, bro.
Mhm.
And my cousin Ajwan Yankur can vouch for that. Our friend Matthias, Jose Matthias could definitely vouch for that. How we went hard in the strip clubs. I wish Proph4C was here. Well, I should take him to Proph4C to strip clubs too, and how we went hard in them strip clubs. Probably 3 nights, 4 nights a week, spending. And you know how hard I went for it. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy. I gained a lot of experiences. I met with a lot of females during that time frame. Which if we had stuck to the plan and pursued the strip club, we would have had a line of talent come into our strip club very easily.
Right. I mean that was the easy part. The easy part was I can actually say that was the first time I actually networked inside of a strip club.
But
that was like it was almost like you going to a baseball game was the equivalent of me going to a strip club. Like you were scouting for players, I was scouting for players too. But we putting them part of the team. I wanted to interview them real quick and find out like where your head's at. Is your head in the game? Like where's your head, and where do you see yourself in a couple years? Like, do you see yourself continuing to do that? And if so, what's your plan? Like,
right.
That's where my head was in the strip club, and that and drinking, because that's my thing.
And what the key, the coup de grace is when you were there at the house when I spoke to my father. My father's at the house. I told him this is what I want to do. I want to open a strip club. And you looked at me like I was crazy, and I was too scared to ask him. You know how intense my father was. He was like, "Do you know what you have to go? What you got to go into about opening a strip club?" I said, "No. It's either." He told me, "Sure, either you pay off the police or you pay off the mob." I say, "Pop, how you know?" Pop's like, "I'm not no stupid idiot. I know the game. I used to own one, so I know the game. Are you really considering are you serious about doing that?" I said, "If it makes some money, hell yeah, we'd consider anything that makes money. I'm considering doing it." He's like, "Okay, great." So, long story short, we went somewhere where that particular
the higher up
lifestyle is prevalent. And we and him, he drove his Escalade. It was like he let me drive his Escalade for the first time. That's when we went to someplace on the border of Brooklyn and Queens. That town. We met up with some people, and I was like, long story short, the dude's trying to insult us because of our skin color. My father's like, "Listen, I'm from Haiti. I don't do business like that. I came to you as a courtesy. If I choose to open up a strip club or a business it's in your territory, I'm going to do it. But I came here as courtesy. So you try to play me, fuck you, and we go about our business.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So the strip club didn't happen at that time. He told me lay low. One thing about my father, as old as he was, and I give credit to my parents too, how they were older parents, but they were hip to the times. They were very progressive at the times. I was talking to my sister about that earlier today, how progressive they were with the times and how to move in these streets.
But you had to keep. I want to say it's depictive of keeping that ear to the street.
Mm-hmm.
They always had that, and it kept them sharp.
Mm-hmm.
It kept them sharp to do that. And you have younger generations coming up that could give you those ears to the street, certain avenues, and it gives you a better understanding of what to expect. And I just threw that out there because I kind of understand now that I'm getting older. I kind of understand that mentality of keeping your ear to the street.
And it's funny, we grew up with a lot of cats in our neighborhood, and they're like, Dom don't know the streets, Dom stays home, this, that, that. I'm like, I knew more about the streets. A lot of niggas knew about the streets anyway, because guess what? I avoided prison. They didn't.
True.
So, and trust me, I've done some dubious things.
Right.
But due to the tutelage of a father who came from Haiti, a third world country where everyday life is like the streets. You could die in a second. You got to be quick thinker. You got to be on your toes about everything. Have that experience from that man prepared me for a lot of movements I made in my life.
Definitely.
Did I mess up in certain things? Of course I mess up with certain things because I'm not perfect. I'm not him. He always had the master plan. He always he thinks 5 steps ahead.
Right.
Yeah, me, I was too bullish. I was too arrogant to think 5 steps ahead like he did. You know what I'm saying? But then again, that comes with experience. You know what I'm saying? And as I go older, you know, again, that experience. And my mother, on the other hand, she, you know, God rest her soul, I would have never thought when I did this podcast, first episode, June 27, 2018, that I would lose her on November 27th, 2018. Exactly 5 months from the time I did this podcast, from the first episode. I would never have thought that. And she herself was a wealth of knowledge as well.
Yeah, she's definitely a well. She was a well of knowledge.
Wealth of knowledge, and you know, I'll tell you a little bit of story about how gangster my mom was. You know, I was dating a girl a few years ago, and one day she came to me. It's like she got dressed up, put makeup on her face. It's like, Dominic, I like to see how I want to see how you do car drives. I said, I just bought the MDX. I just bought the MDX. She's like, let me go sit in the car with you. Just drive me around. I said, Mom, where are we going? You want to go to the mall? No, just drive around. I need to talk to you. I said, what's this? You know, when my mom does that shit, man, there's some serious talk going to happen. She's like, yeah, you know, the girl that you're dating, you know, maybe I think you should start looking for another girlfriend. I'm like, what? I said, you don't have to tell her anything. Just do it. And then just tell her when you replace her. I said, Mom, what are you talking about? I'm like, are you advocating this? I'm like, listen, I don't want my son to be in a ball and chain relationship. I'm your mother. I'm going to protect you.
Right.
When I see someone that's not for you, I'm going to recommend that you find someone else. And this is the recommendation.
Right. This is a prescription.
This is the recommendation.
Right.
So I had to ask again, are you advocating me? I said, she's like, you know, in this is a cold world. And if you're not bringing something to the table, you're not worth keeping. I was like, wow. This is a woman at the time who was 77 years old telling me this shit. 77 years old. I think it was like 2015-ish. We had this conversation. I think it was 6 months before. Actually, no. Okay, I know exactly the time period. It was 2014. No, 2013. It was July of 2013. We had the conversation, and then 2014, I broke up with that person. Or 2015. It was one of those times. I don't remember. And to hear my mom say that shit, I'm like, you know, all these women about, be faithful to your girlfriend, be faithful to your wife. My mom said, fuck that shit. She ain't bringing that to the table. You go find someone who can. She's very cutthroat. I'm like, Mom, damn. Yo, bro, I was laughing. I was sitting in the car. I was like, I couldn't believe I'm hearing this. Like, you don't have to tell her. If she keeps keeping your stuff wet, that's fine. You keep her there for that until you replace her. But for now, start looking for a replacement. But long story short, about that situation, she was not a fan of hers. She was not a fan of how the family was treating me as if I was a fucking nobody, like a fucking idiot. But you know, like I said, mothers will go out of their way to protect their sons at all costs. Moral of the story, that's exactly what it was. That's what the mom was. You know what I'm saying?
It could have been. She was very real.
Mm-hmm.
She was very real about situations. It was like this. You get to a certain age, like my aunt, and they don't got time to sit there and bullshit you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They're gonna tell you how it is. So in that mindset, it's more like you got to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
What all that waiting and stuff that you're doing, it makes no sense. You're not gonna have the experiences that you need to be successful down the road. Still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So get it now. Get it right now. That way later on you'll probably be over it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be over it down the road, so you know exactly what you want. Then you won't fall into that category. Oh, you don't know what you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it basically falls into that. Like I've I've gotten taste of conversations with your mother, and that's basically what I drew from those experiences. Like she's gonna give it to you raw, and it's up to you to digest it on your time.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something too. She did not give it raw until she felt necessary to do that stuff.
Hmm.
Now her older sister, Auntie Chloe, was a whole
Yeah.
different story. Like the Virgo she was, she came with it raw, and whether you like it or not, she'll tell you we'll shoot a fair one.
Right.
That's who she was. We'll shoot a fair one. I don't care. You know what
Right.
I said? We'll shoot a fair one.
Right.
My mom was a little bit more tempered, but she is saying, when I'm tired of seeing something, that if my son is unhappy, if my daughter's unhappy, I'm gonna come up my face and say some shit to get them back in line.
But she's gonna feed you. She's gonna feed you what you need to be fed. If you need milk, she's gonna give you milk. If you need steak, she's gonna give you that steak. It's just that simple. He needs that baby formula. You're gonna get that baby formula until we can upgrade him to some baby food.
And I gotta say about my mom, but as she got older, a lot of my father's mentality rubbed up on her. A lot of the straightforward, in your face. But my father was just great at the politicizing. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Everybody hear him yelling and screaming at everybody, but they don't give him credit for his political ways of explaining shit to you. Because when he get that political level shit with you, he's deadly.
Right.
He's deadly.
Because he's really not playing, and he's very meticulous on how he's coming across.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a reactive. See, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. It's not that reactive state.
Mm-hmm.
Get into that state where you can actually formulate your thought and know exactly how you want to come across and put that into action. That's the dangerous part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the danger. They're not ready for that. You can hit them with a nice comfortability and hit them right in the gut, and they ain't gonna see it coming.
Shit. Let me tell you something. What the most important thing I learned from my father is, which I'm still trying to master myself, is even in an argument, never be reactive. Even when you're in the position to react, never give the impression of a reactive state.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Very hard. You got to maintain control at all times.
Even facial expressions, bro. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a very bad habit. I have a very bad habit of getting information and being reactive facially or body language wise.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to keep calm in this situation, but my body language is reactive.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck did you just say to me? Like that'll come across my face, or I'll give you the rock look with the one eyebrow, and it's just like, really? Or the head tilted to the side, where like, did you just? That was. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. It's hard to be poised in those situations and have a what do you call that? It's non-threatening look or just a goose frava.
Let me tell you something, bro. I don't think my father ever had a non-threatening look. He was always threatening. One look to his eyes, you saw how piercing his eye stare was at you. You were
Because
you like
his eyes were serious.
mm-hmm.
I'm serious in my conversation. I'm serious when I talk about love. I'm serious when I talk about war. Everything in between, I'm serious about. There was no, you couldn't confuse it.
Mm-hmm.
He was a serious person.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take him lightly. That was the eye look. The look was, we're not going past that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know how some women sit there and bat their eyes at you.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck is
but,
that?
yeah, but definitely we're gonna touch back on my father a little later in the podcast, definitely. And it's a month away from his birthday. He would have been 94 had he been alive. But situation happens. A proud. That's one. I have a lot of Leos in my family. You know what I'm saying? If I was a stubborn myself, I would have been a Leo myself. But you know, that's one Leo. If I ever hear a Leo speak, and I hear him speaking from him, I believe him
Hmm.
because I believe him because we'll talk about that later in the podcast about certain Leos that I know that I grew up with, or friends with, or people. Leos who assume that I was their friend, but I really looked at them as acquaintances because of the, because of who they are. Who
Right.
look at who I look at them at spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we'll touch about that a little bit later. But let me go back to the reason for this podcast. I give a shout out to this female who I once dated. You know what I'm saying? I call her Harlem World, but her name was Taniqua. She did a podcast back in the day. That's how this whole shit started with the TruPlayaz Podcast. I was like, oh shit. She posted something on Facebook. I was like, oh shit, how can I do a podcast? I,
Mm.
I asked her, I was like, how you do a podcast? Mind you, I didn't think she was gonna answer me, but she answered me saying, yeah, I use this app, Anchor, and boom, blah blah boom. TruPlayaz Podcast was born. Did my first episode about the New York Mets and Sandy Alderson, his so-called last season with the team at the time, which he had some weird ass signings. Jason Vargas, he signed Jason Vargas over fucking Jake Arrieta, which I didn't like at all.
Mhm.
The whole story. We go the whole story in regards to that, and then we did definitely pursue video like with you with the Game of Thrones episode with Hanif joined us on the show. We did the first video episode. I believe we were using Skype at the time to do the video version, and then we posted it. It was
Yeah.
like
Skype. Yeah,
recorded
it
it
was
and then
Skype.
we posted it,
Hmm.
and then from there, I started doing live videos because of my coworker, and I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Sherry Andrews. Gave me the courage to go out there and start doing more lives.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She's the owner of Statement Peace New York, women's apparel. Definitely check out her website. Give a big shout out to her as well. Give me the courage to go out there and just get up and do it. Just go out there and do live shows like what we're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? I would never thought you'd see me on camera talking to be on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and all that shit. I would never thought I'd be on it, but I'm on it now.
Right.
I've been on
You
it for a
you
long
dragged me into it.
time. Listen,
But I love
you,
it. I love it.
but the thing is that you got to be the most important thing. I'll try to tell everybody, all my audience on the TruPlayaz Podcast, you got to be around people who want to succeed as bad as you do.
Definitely.
You cannot want success for somebody else if they don't want it for themselves.
Right.
That's a waste of your energy. That's a waste of your time. Move on
Hmm.
from that person. That's why
Hmm.
we have certain people we were friends with closely are now in the outskirts because they
Right.
didn't see our vision.
Or they
It's either,
just
it's,
you
it's
have to
either they
step
didn't
up.
see it's either they didn't see our vision or try to cock block it to keep us at the level they were on.
Or
We're about
they're just
progression.
not on that level. They're not on that level yet. Their mindset is not working in that state of mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hope that they get to that level, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope they can see what we were trying to tell them before.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking to both male and female right now, so don't
Absolutely.
get it
No,
twisted.
no, no, no. No, we come for everybody. We come for everybody.
Don't get
You
it
know,
twisted. This is not one specific person. For me, I'm shooting two shots, and y'all know who you are. Y'all came for me earlier in this 3 year anniversary. Y'all came for me, both of y'all. So
mm-hmm.
y'all both get shots. And it's not shots of shade. It's more shots of step up and understand where we're coming from. I'm
Mm-hmm.
treating you like I would treat family that I really cared about. Step
Mm-hmm.
up. That's it. This right here that I'm wearing on my shirt, I really mean that. Stay humble. I'm humble to the people that got me to where I am right now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do all this stuff by myself. My wife contributed to that. Derek contributed to that. Dom contributed to that. Laila contributed to that. There's other people behind the scenes that have contributed to that in my family, both blood and adopted blood. But we didn't
And
get here on our own.
with people with Joey G is not telling you guys. I was with Joey G at his darkest hour.
Yeah, he was. You, Derek, Laila, all in my corner encouraging me. And there was others in my corner as well, but these were the voices that were motivating me.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't keeping me complacent. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you go ahead and continue do that. No, what are you going to do to get yourself out of the situation? No, what are you going to do to progress?
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan? Do you have a plan to get out of that?
Mm-hmm.
These are the questions that you need during those hard times. You don't need yes men in your corner.
That's not
I
true
don't have
friends.
I don't have to be I'm pretty much in the ground right now and you want me to sit there and praise you.
Mm-hmm.
What sense does that make? Because you're doing a little bit better than me, you need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop. Granted, I admire the things that you've done. I've seen them. I've watched them. And don't get it twisted, it's not because I'm a fucking stalker. It's because I was a fan
Mm-hmm.
in your progression.
Mm-hmm.
In your progression. I said it from high school on. Now you want to be real about something?
Mm-hmm.
I egged one of somebody I considered a brother to me and took your side. I've since apologized to this person. We're friends now.
Mm-hmm.
He's still my brother. He's told me. And we have a different relationship now. I don't think it'll ever be close the way it was, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad we were able to reconcile it in our later years.
Mm-hmm.
But I regret doing that because the outcome wasn't what I thought it was going to be. How'd the flip flop happen? You went your direction, the other person came back.
Mm-hmm.
Both mature, both with families.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, past is past. It's done.
Right.
That's life.
That's life.
That's life. But you have to get to that point in your mind where you're mature enough to understand what's going on. You have to get
True.
mature. You have to.
True.
You have to be in a state where you want better for yourself. You have to associate with the people that are progressive, pushing you forward, not your yes men. They're
But you're
looking
not
at they're looking at you for what they can get from you,
right.
what they could take from you. I've watched people take from you. I'm not gonna get into specifics. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but I've watched people take so much, and I see what it cost. And when
That'll
I
be.
come back
Mm-hmm.
and try to get you back on track,
Mm-hmm.
you give me the hand
Mm-hmm.
like Jamie Foxx on the Fox show.
Mm-hmm.
Skirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something I've never heard before. Use a stalker. Word? You weren't saying that when we were picking you up, taking you places.
Oh, let alone cock block this on some pussy.
Listen, I'm not gonna get into that.
But another shout out before we get to our topics at hand. If everybody see me look down on my phone, I'm actually in contact with Proph4C and Black Rose to try to get them on the podcast as well. So if you see me look down on my phone, that means I'm communicating with them so they get on the podcast as well. But I want to give a shout out to someone who was supportive of me. She's a friend of my sister on Facebook. I try to look for her to hopefully be on the podcast as well, but I couldn't find her on Facebook. I think she took her profile off Facebook. Her name was Dillis Victoria. She was the one that gave me the motivation. I was my first interview with her. Now she interviewed me on her podcast. That was me as my first time being a podcast host, being interviewed by a veteran, and she put me on the map as far as getting people to look at me. TruPlayaz Podcast, the whole brand. She got me in front of people that I didn't think I could get in front of myself. And I want to give a big shout out to Dillis Victoria. Hope she's doing well. with her wife and all that stuff. Hope she's doing very well, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to link up with her again so she can join us on the TruPlayaz Podcast as well. But bro, as we segue, we talk a lot. We talk a lot first half hour plus about real shit.
This is that 3 year.
It's a 3-year anniversary. We go on for 3 hours. I'm gonna have to break it up a little bit, but on the real note, let's talk about before we break it up for the first hour. As I try to get Proph4C and Black Rose into it, let's break it up. Let's get into the nitty gritty. First and foremost, the Derek Chauvin decision with George Floyd. He was sentenced for 22 years in prison. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was being pessimistic because you know how this country works when it comes to situations like this. I was assuming he was gonna get 12 years. He got 22 years. Not the full 30 years that they wanted, but he got 22 years. Which I think I'm gonna put it to you like this. I will put it to you like this. I call it moral victory because it was politically motivated verdict. So let me know how you feel about that, bro.
That's basically what I was going to say. I said, due to the regime change in the White House, Kim Jong-un is not in there anymore. No, due to political. It was politically motivated. They didn't want to see that type of outcome because outcome based. Right now, that's not something we need stirring up. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, COVID is still out there. We're not over that. Emotions are still high over the many tragedies that we've had due to the hands of officers not using discretion in the situation or standing idly by and watching a colleague commit a crime because they weren't comfortable enough or felt they didn't have any backing to say anything in those situations where they put maybe their careers in jeopardy. I've been doing my research as far as looking behind the scenes as far as the officers is concerned, as far as their angst to get into those situations. So I'm kind of understanding it a little better. It doesn't mean that it's an excuse, but I better understand the why. I'm glad that he got the 22 years. I didn't really expect him to get that, to be honest with you. Yeah, the 12 years sounded like something like 12 years and maybe some probation. But you're gonna wind up coming out of this with a slap on the wrist. But to hear, because I had no knowledge of this, to hear that he had the 22 years, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. For the 22 years that you're in there, I hope you're reminded every single day.
Oh, he's gonna be. He's a cop. He's a cop in a prison. So think about it 1 second.
The question is it a regular prison or is this a federal prison?
Well, I didn't get that part of the story.
That's one of the things I want to know, because federal prison, Snoop Dogg is basically on a show with a felon, so I'm just saying she went to federal prison. Federal prison is kind of like a cakewalk. You in prison, but it's a cakewalk. You get a TV, conjugals, that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? So federal is different from regular prison. Now you doing prison time? Okay, 22 years. Oh, good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Oh my goodness.
Federal is a little bit cushy. Let's say it's a little bit more comfortable. Accommodating would be the the better term in that situation. Prison, you're gonna feel it though.
Mm-hmm.
Prison, you're gonna feel it. And the reason I say that is, um, there's nothing like hearing the sound of a metal door, a large metal door locking, knowing that you have no choice but to stay where you are,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding none of it is in your control.
Right.
The environment that you're in, nothing's in your control. There, you can't control it. You have to be vigilant. So that same I hope you have that same on pointness when you out there, because
Right.
you gonna need it. You gonna need it. People gonna
Absolutely.
remind you. People gonna
Absolutely.
remind you.
I got you on that. So definitely, like I said, Joe, me and Joe have I don't know what I would call it similar views. I call it different views in regards to the verdict. I call this like a moral victory.
Yeah.
A true victory is given the full 30 years, but you know you have to play. The United States is a big game, so you got to play that game. So I guess it's like John still going to the wall.
I
You know,
I
if
look
you
at it
win,
like this.
yeah.
Every once in a while, they have to throw steak into the crowd.
Hmm.
They have to throw a steak into the crowd. They just can't keep giving us crumbs.
Right.
They can't keep giving us crumbs. We
Hmm.
know the game is rigged.
Hmm.
The game has been rigged.
Right.
The game has been rigged. It's going to be rigged for a very long time unless we uproot and move someplace else.
Correct.
And that's the bottom line. Like every historical thing that been watching and uh, associated to it boils down to that same scenario. So it's a slippery slope. We're lucky we got that 22 years on there, because go to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is very mindful of these situations and not willing to change what the foundation of America is built off of, which is
Right.
the backs
Hmm.
of the minorities in this country, and that's it. There's some minorities that have more points than others. They maybe get ahead a little bit,
Hmm.
and that's just to keep us subservient.
Right. Hmm. I
Another
definitely.
conversation for a different podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a convo on being convo podcast as well,
Hmm.
because those prominent people of our ilk also have a daddy, so they have to say things and call him daddy. Tells me to say.
Hmm.
We all know that daddy's not us, but that's another
Listen,
story. That's another
when
story.
we could find our way into every structure and be communicative with one another to get into these positions, then we might have something going on. But until then, if I can't talk to you and you can't talk to me, and my point of view is too much for you to handle, and we can't have a civilized conversation, put that thought on hold, because it ain't gonna happen for a while.
But let me tell you something too. I say you say we try to get into their structure. My issue is why should we have to get into someone else's structure when we can create our own structure and make that
That's
strong?
that's the other way of going about it. There's two ways to do it. That was the other side to that coin. That's why I said this is another podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So on that note, before we take a little intermission, before we
Hmm.
as we try to get Black Rose and Prophecy on the podcast as well, let's get into the vacated verdict of Bill Cosby.
Oh, my
Bill
man,
Cosby.
Bill.
Bill Cosby's a free man. He gets to sell his pudding pops. you know
Well,
what
the
I'm
one thing about
saying?
me.
All right, bro. So
You
my
seen
thing.
what I did, and I did what I do.
Oh my goodness! Now let's get into that situation.
Mhm.
Me personally, I'm gonna anger a lot of people at my comments. So
Mhm.
it's not. I just felt that the time it took for him to be put in trial in the first place was kind of ridiculous. Um, but I understand why the women took so long to file the complaint,
Right.
and
To a certain
I,
degree, I do.
I definitely understand. Yeah, like I said, to a certain degree, but not to the full degree.
Right.
I just think that the timing of his trials coincided with him trying to purchase NBC. So, what better way to stop a sale
A stifle.
is to slander an individual from getting said
Mhm.
network?
Right.
Um, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about
I, I'm gonna say I had mixed issues. Mixed
that?
issues. I don't want to celebrate. I really don't want to celebrate a person that not only was accused of doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He settled on the situation years before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he settled on it. That, in my opinion, that's admitting you did something wrong to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, he was guilty of that. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't celebrate his coming out of prison due to a technicality of a DA that didn't read up the prior case.
Right.
That's your fault.
You think?
That's your fault. The biggest thing you're supposed to do as a DA is your research.
Absolutely.
Shout out to James Lamb for telling me about the research part because I got to get more vigilant as far as that is concerned. But I understand the importance of doing your research because it could come back to bite you. And in this case, he wound up walking free. There are a lot of people that are upset with that. But please do not celebrate this. This is not a celebratory victory for us. It was a technicality, and let's treat it as such.
True. So I definitely agree with you on that.
It's a technicality. Man, I love Bill Cosby and the works that he's put in. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. I love that fact. He was America's father for how many years before Uncle Phil?
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, he's put in a lot of work behind the scenes for um, what was it, Spellman donations for Spellman, a lot of things behind the scenes, but his character was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So in that I'm glad he's out. I didn't want to see him die in prison,
Mm-hmm.
as far as that's concerned. But I can't celebrate the fact that he got out. Cool,
True.
you out. I didn't want you to die in prison.
No,
Um,
not at all.
I didn't want you to die in prison. It seemed like your health was deteriorating faster when you got in there.
Mm-hmm.
Going blind, diabetic,
Mm-hmm.
and it just I was just like, damn, that's a lot. Your son just passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
His son passed away. He
Not even
gets,
that's the second one, right?
I think so. It's something like that. His
Mm-hmm.
son passed away, and then you get tried, and then you go to jail. After you go to jail, you start losing your vision, so you practically blind.
Mm-hmm.
Then they diagnose you as diabetic. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can see the stages. Like only thing left is death after
Mm-hmm.
that. So sentence, if he was sentenced for more than what he was, I feel like he would have died in prison. He would have died in prison. Even if he still had the money to buy NBC at this current moment, just as a spite. I mean, how long do you think he would own NBC before he passed?
Leave well alone. That's
Right, just,
basically what it
just
is.
live the rest of your life out. Spend it with your wife and your family and enjoy. If you want to do pop ups here and there as far as the public eye is concerned, just be very choosy on where you go and what you attend and who is there with you, because the eye is going to be on you and it's going to be scrutinized one way or another. And I think I'm pretty much done with that Cosby. Because the other one, that Cosby I don't recognize. I recognize Cliff Huxtable. I recognize the Cosby Show with kids.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that. Fat
Albert.
I Spy, Fat Albert. I recognize that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep my mental PG on what I think about Cosby.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a brief little break as we wait for the other co-hosts to join us. We will back once we come back in about 2 minutes. We're gonna be talking about the situation with Sha'carri Hamilton and her suspension from the Olympics for 30 days due to marijuana use.
As I smoke this blunt.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for part 2 of the TruPlayaz Podcast 3-year anniversary with my brother Joey G. It's your man Big Dom. We doing it what we doing it. As we continue we're going to just proceed with the podcast and wait for the other co-hosts to join us. Keep in mind one thing, after we're done with this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we will be doing an Instagram live recap, follow-up right after the podcast with myself and Joey G. Feel free to join us. Feel free to interact with us. You guys can interact with us as we speak right now. If I'm going to post a link for you to jump on the podcast or comment. And give me 1 second, guys. And definitely, we want you guys to participate. Be inclusive in the Be inclusive in the podcast. We don't bite. We're not going to chop your head off. If you got something to say, we're grown men. We can take it.
Yeah, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest, but keep in mind one thing: whatever you say will come back to you twofold. So be prepared to take on the response as well.
Real.
So,
please, I got liquor here. Don't do it. Don't do it. I can reach for it.
Listen,
it's in proximity. I ain't with the weak shit. We got that right on the shelf.
Listen,
I'm keeping it PG by keeping the beers in me.
Mm-hmm. Man, listen, let me tell you something. I'm about to get to open up my nips right now, and like I said, we doing it big. We're doing it big on TruPlayaz Podcast 3-year anniversary. Doing it big. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's been supporting for the podcast. I don't know the debut my name. It's a lot of people I can definitely give a big shout out to. The support that I received. Miss Danny baby, you always supported me with the podcast, giving me new different ideas, different perspective to bring to the podcast, and that I appreciate that to my baby, Miss Danny baby.
Salute.
Okay, salute. Now we're gonna talk about Miss Sha'carri Hamilton and the fact that she tested positive for marijuana during the Olympic trials, in which she is suspended for 30 days. That means she misses the 100-meter dash that she is starring in. She'll probably most likely be once suspension has been lifted. Excuse me. Once the suspension has been lifted, she'll be available to do the 4x100 relay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've heard people say, "Oh, let her run because it's just weed and this, that, and the other," and they bring up Michael Phelps into the situation. I have a different take, which is on both sides on the fence. And this is the problem with us people in the minority. Rules are rules.
Okay. Rules and regulations as far as the Olympic, I guess regulations are concerned. I understand that.
I definitely understand. Rules are rules. However, there were some circumstances where she had to induce some marijuana, smoke some weed, as we call it. The fact that she found out through a reporter that her mother passed away. Her mother, I believe, was estranged, and she had a lot to cope with during the Olympic trials. When it comes to in regards to her death, no matter if you're estranged from your parent or not, a parent is a parent no matter what. You feel me? So I definitely understand her pain in losing her mother. I've lost my mother. I understand that pain that comes with that. But due to the fact that she was targeted from the jump, not only by the people that want her to fail, but our own people. We was talking about her looks, that she looked a man, this, that, and the other. She had a lot of shit coming at her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I felt this situation kind of put a black mark on her a little bit. But Joey G, what do you think?
I mean, people blow things out of proportion all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you have transgenders in the Olympics that are weightlifting.
Right. Listen, I like the fact you mentioned that. Sorry to cut you off. But anything in regards to transgender or anything with LGBT, I'm not going to speak on the TruPlayaz Podcast.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll do that on mine.
Only because I want to maintain the blood in your face content that we bring to the TruPlayaz Podcast. Mm-hmm. And for me, not saying what I really want to say about that situation will take away from that. So I will not talk about it.
Okay. We could do it on my show, like I said. We could do it on Beer Family and Combo.
No, please continue with your
That's not.
I will not answer.
That's not. I'm not taking away from what you're saying. I mean, it's just I see what they're trying to say, and everybody likes to pick and choose when it comes down to enforcing rules and regulations. They like to pick and choose who they're pointing the finger at when it comes to these things. Her smoking weed is not an enhancement. If anything, it's putting you in a position to even try harder. I mean, I can't remember anybody that I knew who smoked a blunt, or smoked weed, a joint of any nature was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this blunt and I'm gonna go to the track and I'm gonna get it. Not one. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna go to the cabinet. I'm gonna go to the refrigerator. I'm gonna have me some snacks. But Nobody is going to physically demanding uh, activity, a demanding activity, and it's an elite status. We're not talking about a high school race, college race, elementary, something like that, PAL, whatever the case may be. She's made it to where she had to be. You know what I'm saying? She went through her trials and whatever she had to do to get on the Olympic team to make it to the Olympics.
Correct.
She has the skills necessary to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You smoking a blunt, getting on and you still doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know about them,
Mm-hmm.
but fuck y'all gold medals. If you could smoke a blunt, get on the field and do your thing, I have nothing to say with you. I mean, I'm gonna use a little bit of what I've learned from Mike Tyson on his podcast, and I understand that athletes using marijuana, it calms them down. It calms them down. It breaks out that cycle of too many minds and that too many minds. Like you have too many thoughts going through your head. It brings you to a state where you have to bring down, and you have like a flow. It brings you down. If she was at that space where she needed that and she felt that that needed to happen in order for her to get in her mind frame, then who are we to judge that?
Right.
Was it the right time to do it? Yes and no. For your mental health, yes, it was correct to do it. For the Olympics, it was not. It was in the rules and regulations. You can't do it. You can't do it. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's stated black and white. You knew it going in. You admitted you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the consequences are, you willing to accept them. You know what I'm saying? You know what came with the territory. But I feel like there should be some leniency due to the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel on this situation. Everybody's trying to make this some big political event,
Mm-hmm.
and it shouldn't be.
As we hear fireworks going off in the background.
Oh, that's what that is. I was like, what is that?
You know what I'm saying? So, but I definitely agree with you on that. But the reason why I don't find her at fault as far as she owned up to her mistake, explained the reason why, and but my promise to people who want to say let her race because it's legal in the United States of America. It's legal in the state that no Oregon that's where she lives at, but the Olympic rules do not the American
No,
rules do not apply to Olympic rules.
no. The Olympic rules are the Olympic rules. That's why there's a screening process for them to get to the Olympics. There's screening. There's evaluations. There's trials that you have to take on in order to reach that level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It is a shame. I'm not gonna lie. It is a shame that she's not gonna be there to represent us in the 100 meter from the outset. It is a shame because you know us as Americans, especially track and field, that's our pride and joy. You know what I'm saying? So that in itself, you know, it's a shame. But we have to get out of the mindset just because someone is same color as we are, we got to defend them no matter if they're right or wrong. Right is right, wrong is wrong. No matter
Right.
right, right and wrong has no color.
Right.
And that's what people need to remember.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. So once we get past that issue about right and wrong has no color, then we'll be able to understand both sides of the equation. But I just hate, me personally, I hate when media is the deliverer of bad news to people. I can't stand that shit. It's like it's like the media is there to stir up trouble. It's not there to report news. They're here to stir up trouble.
They'll give you the cut and dry of it, but they won't give you the backstory on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Due to someone passing away in her life, she decided to smoke marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
which affected uh, her her ability to race in the Olympics.
No, I don't think that I don't think I want to say it like that. As far as them reporting us about the incident, but
But
you telling her about her mother in a public forum that she herself did not know about.
oh, they did it like that. I didn't
I
know.
believe
I didn't know.
I believe so. I believe so.
I didn't.
So
No, that's. I think that was probably done intentionally. In my opinion, it's probably done intentionally to probably bring her to a state where maybe when her next race she's going to be out of it, and it puts her out. Let's not get it twisted. When it comes to minorities in the Olympics, us as minorities, we've given the finger to supremacy
mhm.
when they expected the performance to be opposite of what they thought. Where Black Fist was raised with a gold around the neck.
Mhm.
Okay, let's get that picture and envision in our minds and understand the thought process behind this. Everything has a reason for why it's done, the way it's done, and how it's done. Go back into history, you'll see certain things open up, and you'll be like, "Oh, that's related to this." Oh, Joe, you're making a spectacle out of the situation. You're overthinking it. Am I? Am I really overthinking it, or is it? This is pretty much how everything is structured. Everything is structured that way. The more you realize it, the more you're like, that's what it is. It is. Don't sit there and try to hide it. Just
Mhm.
because we don't have that president in the office anymore doesn't mean we go back to business as usual.
It's a lot. It's a lot to clean up. A lot to fix.
And
Because when
nothing's being fixed because nobody's talking about it. How about that?
how about that? And I kind of compare with Sha'carri Hamilton's going to what we have with Naomi Osaka in the French Open.
Okay.
I do equate to that
Same
because
thing.
it's the
Mental
same
health.
mental health. And the thing is that these people, these media, because of Naomi Osaka, I'm being a little bit biased because I am what Naomi Osaka is half of. Is
Right.
that of the Haitian culture? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? They keep mentioning that she's from Japan. She keep mentioning from Japan, and this girl, to her credit, has says, "I'm Haitian too."
Right.
Every interview said, "Wait a minute, I'm Haitian too."
Right.
They don't want to acknowledge that.
No, they're not going to acknowledge that because there's
And
only two. There's only two races that are acknowledged. Period.
mhm,
And everybody else is in the spectrum
mhm.
of that. White and black. Period. The
And by
once
the way, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
as a once people recognize that the white and black of everything,
Mm,
it's a little easier to digest.
mhm,
Just understand your shade.
mhm.
The shade that you are acquires you to be one step forward or one step back. Okay, it gets you through certain doors, or it doesn't allow you through certain doors.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, bro, I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. A wonderful holiday that we celebrate tomorrow, July
Mm,
4th, as you hear the fireworks go off in the background, would not have been possible without the Haitians
right,
who fought that war.
right.
It's not in our history books,
No,
not at
it's
all.
not.
But so as you told me in Savannah, Georgia, there's a whole monument and whole event going on in Savannah, Georgia, that commemorates the Haitians in the American Revolution.
Yes. Yes.
You
And
feel me?
Savannah, Georgia was a progressive state.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first progressive state. The governor that they have there was trying to abolish slavery. They pushed him out.
Right.
And I believe he was French. I believe he was French. But they kicked him out. They, they basically kicked him out. It was like, business as usual.
And you want to? People don't understand the truth of the American Revolution. Let me tell you guys the truth of the American Revolution. George Washington was losing.
Let's get, when it comes down to it, was financial.
He was losing the war. He needed more troops. So he called Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte did not come from France to help the Americans. He would have been there too late. Remember, there was no airplanes back in the 1700s.
No, the only thing they had was a current, and we weren't on that current.
And guess who came from that little beautiful island of what they call Hispaniola, but I call it Quisqueya, because that was the name of the island before Columbus. That pirate came in there and fucked shit up. But yeah, he has a holiday. But that's another story for another situation. The island of Quisqueya. You know what I'm saying? The people came from there, from Saint Domingue, which is Haiti, to fight the American Revolution on February 3rd, 1776. You will see in Wikipedia they said 1780, and they kept changing the years. But the years are wrong.
To discredit it.
It was February 3rd, 1776. So, mind you, I'm going to give you guys a little bit tidbit of history about that too. Two of the founding fathers of Haiti fought in that war, the American Revolution.
Toussaint?
No. Christophe. And Passion. So, as we get off track, ladies and gentlemen, hit you guys up the true story, not the history, the true story.
TruPlayaz edition.
That is why July 4th, we celebrate July 4th.
I mean, we will never get the cut and dry of the history, because one race would like to be the heroes in the situation above all. That's what it boils down to. Your contribution was minute in the situation, but you want to take credit for the full thing. I get it, but at the same part, it's no relevance. It's no relevance. You have a race of people historically smarter than you that produced more than you have centuries. That you have in centuries. So what better way? It's kind of like I can't even say bully, because it's almost like a instigator. It's almost like an instigator, where I can't fight, but I'm gonna make these two fight, and after they're done fighting, I'm gonna be like, yeah, see what we did.
Listen, I'm not going to discredit the people who write the history books. You know, certain countries did some great things. You know, did some good things. And I'm saying, like, people may call it saying me being biased, but I don't give a fuck, because it is the truth. That country that is synonymous with 1804 is the pioneer of a free Caribbean, the pioneer of a free South America. United States did not do that. Actually,
Right.
the pioneer of the Western movement of the United States as well.
Right. I mean,
So, so they
I
keep
just
shooting.
don't.
They keep
You know,
shooting. Go ahead.
we've had experiences with people that we know
Hmm.
that are insecure
Hmm.
in their being,
Hmm.
relating that to history and dealing with race. It kind of translate in the same fashion. If you're insecure, you're going to create a narrative. You're going to create a story to be told to make you dominant in a situation where you weren't even relevant. You weren't relevant. The Civil War that happened, the North against the South, was simply a financial war. The North was about to lose money. The South is like, fuck you, we got slaves. Fuck you and your problems. What you want to do about it? That's how you feel? That's how you feel. Okay, then we're going to go to war. Had nothing to do with slaves, had nothing to do with freeing them, nothing like that. That was a byproduct of the war. The freeing of slaves was a byproduct of the war. It
Actually,
would have. Say again.
Juneteenth happened because Texas didn't follow the rules.
Listen, Texas is a whole different animal.
Yes,
That
yes,
that's
yes.
that's where we get into the Alamo and things like that.
Hmm.
And California, which is
Hmm.
another part of Mexico originally.
Hmm.
Originally, that's a part of Mexico is a part of that. Texas
Hmm.
and Mexico, that's a part.
True, true.
But after the Alamo, there's like, no, that's ours.
Yeah.
You stop here and you go back down south, young man.
Mhm. So
But
definitely, I just had to throw that in there in the spirit of July 4th. I had to throw in the true
hey,
story. A lot of things that people need to do their research on everything. Do the research, and you'll
please,
find it. You'll find it. You know.
I will do a watch party if you
Mhm.
wanna. If anybody wants to watch Hidden Colors, let me know because I'll post that and we could watch it and we could talk about it.
That could be a
'Cause
big convo. That could be a big convo on podcast.
let me
Let's do
let
it.
me let me know because I'll
Let's
put
do
that
it.
on and then we could watch it and then after we watch it we could have a discussion about it.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure they got more videos, so I'm gonna see if I could reach out to the person that created it to see
Hmm.
if not only they could be a part of our conversation, if I could get the new content so we could post that.
Listen, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting to do that interview with your tour guide in Savannah, Georgia, showing you, the monuments and stuff like that dedicated to Haiti and
I
stuff like
mean, when you come down, we could probably take a trip up there, and we could do a podcast while going through the tour,
that. Hmm.
something similar like that, or we could just do like a video, given the experience.
Hmm.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you, there's two experiences that I have in my life that were eye opening on a spiritual level,
Hmm.
and that was one being in Louisiana and actually seeing cotton fields for the first time, seeing how beautiful they are. Like cotton fields are beautiful, but knowing the history of the people that actually picked the cotton and the trials and tribulations that they went through on those fields. It was a bittersweet feeling as far as that. Um, Going to Savannah, Georgia, and seeing the scenery. It's beautiful scenery, but to see the history unfold before your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
it it jarred me.
Mm-hmm.
It jarred me because I seen where they held slaves. I seen where they the path that they had to walk down from where the slave ships ported. You know what I'm saying? And then see the land that they were on and know where the auction blocks were, and to
Mm-hmm.
see banks at
Mm-hmm.
corners of where the auction block was.
Right.
After this is years later, where the banks were built, where the auction was taking place,
Wow.
under big trees
Mm-hmm.
that were hanging like they call them weeping willows. They
Mm-hmm.
call them weeping willow trees. Oh my God. Those trees are where they hung slaves, bro.
Mm.
You're getting the effects everywhere you look. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking from a spiritual place. Seeing what I saw, it was very overwhelming. At the same time, it was very informative. That's why sometimes if I go off in an anger when I'm talking about certain things as far as race and things like that, is because I go back to that place because of what I felt. I
Mm-hmm.
felt ancestors. I felt ancestors and what they felt during those things. I've seen the area that we were around and people walking around. You got white people walking around like, oh, this is nice. And
Mm-hmm.
but to know the history,
Right.
it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling
So
altogether.
as we get to spirituality, we're gonna now segue into the next part. But before we do that, we're gonna bring in Prophecy. We're gonna do a little interview with him.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna bring him in.
Boom. He on the streets.
He's on the streets. He's heading on his way to the studio.
We live right now.
Yo, Prof, you hear me? Yo, Prof, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, big bro.
Oh man, what's good? What's good, my man? What's going on, man? You on with Joey G? Joey G's in the cut.
Yeah, man. You know us, man. We moving right now. You know, about to drop my mama love off. I'm with big bro Dawn. You know, your princess is with me, wifey with me. You know, it's a family affair. And then
Gotcha.
we headed into the studio to you know, basically lay down some, you know, some family, you know, foundation.
Right.
Because the studio that heard me, fortunately, is, you know, fully, you know, interested, and you know, we're about to lay down, you know, some groundwork, you know.
I feel you. I feel you. But definitely, this is a 3-year anniversary episode of the TruPlayaz Podcast. We couldn't have it without you because you came on in season 3 of the podcast when I did your interview. We talk about big things about your plans and for the future, for the present and future, as far as your career goes, things like that, and understand your struggle. What else you want to add to it while we got you on the 3-year anniversary?
Man, well, you know, first off, you know, happy, you know, 3-year anniversary, you know, to the podcast, man. You know, TruPlayaz is, you know, we're gonna be here for a while, man. You know,
Yes.
entity is you know, very strong, and you know, I wish it well. You know what I'm saying? Overall, big bro, we just need to get together, man. You know what I mean? We need to form Voltron right now. I'm seeing it, you know, I'm seeing the blessings as it's coming. You know what I mean? You think positive, you get positive. I'm sitting there, you know, bro, you know, Dawn, you know, like found his way, found his lane, and opened the door for me. You feel me? And it's like, you know, homage has to be paid. You know what I mean? I hope a lot of people, you know, take that as a lesson, because you know those around you is who you look out for first. You know what I mean? You go around, as soon as you make it, you everywhere else. That ain't a good look. You know what I mean? As you can see, I'm with the homie now. You feel me? We in the vehicle. We riding through the city, big bro. You know what I mean? Caddy, you know what I mean? Pushing
So
through.
you in NY right now?
Yeah, right through the city. You know what I mean? Drop Mama Love in Brooklyn, and we shoot right to Jersey, go right to the studio, and get down with the brothers. Basically, laying it down because, the call came in by like 6:30. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, I'm getting your message. You know what I mean, about the podcast. So I'm like, oh shoot, I'm swapped. I know I'm moving. It took us, 40 minutes just to get to you guys right now because of the reception and the bridge. And I'm like, all right, how I'm getting through to show that I can support my family, you know what I'm saying, on the podcast. And we stressing. Annie phone dead, she trying to charge it. Yo, there's so much going on, you know what I mean? But it feels good because what that's doing is motivating. It got your brain moving. You know what I mean? You ain't just sitting there looking, duh, So like it's like the progression is what we look forward to. You know what I mean? And that's what we're getting to. And it's like, the brother heard me. He calls me at 6:30. He's like, yo, man, this is the decision we made. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? There was a board meeting. I didn't know there was a board meeting. And the brother said, man, look, we got your production. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what's up.
You ain't got to worry about that no more. We got your production. We just need you to let's get right. So that way we don't have to work anymore. You know what I mean? So that line right there opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, brothers understanding that we need to get it. You know what I mean? There's talent here, yo. I'm not trying to waste it, Dom. You know what I mean? The bag is out there. The bag is out there.
I feel you on that, but we have to talk offline in regards to the theme song. We do have to change it because of the situation. YouTube is being real anal about the beat and stuff, so a lot of my episodes are not being seen on the YouTube, so which hurts my viewership. So we may have to change the beat to the song, or do a new intro.
Say no more. I don't say no more. It just gives me another lane to show off my production. I'll just create a good old true podcast beat, so that way no one has nothing to say. But excuse me, TruPlayaz. I'm sorry for using your beat. Here's a check. You understand? So that way we'll be able to be in their shoes. They want to be thorns in the asses. Okay, so what? We'll be thorns in the asses also.
Absolutely. Definitely. We look forward to that. We definitely got to link up. I was off the entire week, but I was taking care of some things. But like I said, we got to link up. We still got time. We got tomorrow on Monday, and we got Wednesday and Thursday, and then we could link up and try to put something on wax. And the most important thing, as my advice I give to you, is have everything in writing as well. Don't just have it by word of mouth. To protect yourself and to protect everything that you're trying to do, just have everything in writing so no one can say that, oh, you copyrighted this. No, I have people say, no, I didn't. This is my shit. Hello.
That's right.
And now I'm suing you for telling. Now I'm suing you for telling me that I sold my own shit. So it is a great situation. The progress that we're showing here. The TruPlayaz Podcast. You missed the first part. I wish you were here for the first part. So about your auntie, my mom, and your uncle, they, without their tutelage, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the courage to do the podcast in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't understand is, I know you could vouch for that too. JoeyG vouch for that too. My parents, as old as they were very progressive with the times.
Yeah,
they knew how to move. You know what I'm saying?
It's like you thought you knew some slang. They knew that slang. Like why you watching our video? Like why I walked in their room and they had what was the video thing they used to have? Video music box.
Yes.
Remember that?
Flavor videos.
That's how I knew videos. Yeah, the video. It was definitely that video music box thing. Yeah, because it was during usually come on 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's like after school, you got the youngins trying to catch those little humpy videos before us older ones come in. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cartoon, they sneaking to watch that video music box. and they'll flip the channel. Then when we walk in, we like, get out of here with your cartoons. Let us get. So one day I caught Dad in the room, video music box. You feel me? And he was catching on to our slang, yo. You know what I'm saying? We was growing up on Wu-Tang and, you know what I mean, Coochie and Oochie Wally Wally. And he like, so he learning all like. So we like, yo, let's get that Uchi, man. He's like, what? I know what that means now. I'm like, yo, video music box watching that. And when I said that to him, he was crying. You know what I mean? Yo, Pop looks funny as hell for that, yo. That's
but
crazy.
The thing is, one of his favorite songs,
you definitely took it back.
One of his favorite songs is more
your father and my father. Your father and my father, I ain't gonna lie, son, they were 2 peas in a pod. The only difference, your father said I love you more. Word up. My uncle, I heard more I love you from my uncle than I did from my father. You know how my father said, like, I love you? He'll say good job instead of I love you.
Well, that's code word. You know, that's code word. You know the Haitians got to keep the machismo up. You know, keep the machismo up. We can't say that. We got to keep the machismo up. You know. on that note, my brother, I want you guys to get to the studio safe. We're gonna do a recap of the podcast on Instagram Live. So definitely join us on that if you have the opportunity. So we're gonna continue on with the podcast. If you want to step off, you want to stay and listen, let me know. We can go into the next subject of the podcast as we talk about zodiac signs and why certain people.
How long you on for?
We're probably gonna be on for another 25 minutes more, and we're gonna close it off.
Oh, another 5?
Another 25 minutes. We'll make it 2 minutes, 2 hours.
25. All right, say no more then. All right, let me.
All right, cool.
Squeeze in a little time to come back home.
Absolutely, yo. Get that safe, brother.
All right, you got it, big boy. I appreciate y'all, yo. Yo, Joe G.
No doubt.
God bless, bro.
Same to you, bro.
Got you. All right, peace.
TruPlayaz.
Definitely representing. We'll link up. All right, later.
You got it.
All right, bro. Yes, as we get back to, once again, I want to thank Proph4C to join us on the 3rd anniversary podcast on the very special day, birthday of TruPlayaz Podcast, June 27, 2018. Which everything started. Everything in a positive way started to go in motion. And now we're going to start to get to the end of the podcast. I want to touch on the subject of my brother, Joey G. Joey G, you mentioned spirituality. We're going to talk about people who live and die by the Zodiac. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
We're going to get to that a little bit because I was on Clubhouse. I was in a room talking about Zodiac signs and things like that. And you'd be surprised how many people live and die by Zodiac signs.
And numerology is the other one.
Yes.
Those two go hand in hand.
Absolutely. But my thing is about that, bro, is I think spirituality is a complex thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because reason I feel it's complex because there's many ways to worship God and things like that. Whether it's through the vehicle of religion.
Okay.
And the different karmics of the religion, the vehicle of religion, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's Catholicism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, atheists, or Seventh-day Adventists, Christianity, all the different vehicles. But what's lost upon the different vehicles that lead you to worship God is the spirituality of worshiping God. And that's where the true faith comes into play. And True. I think people getting lost in the vehicle, driving the vehicle of a set religion or a set zodiac following, and they forget the spirituality of your direct spirituality with God Himself. And what can you say about that?
It boils down to the politics of it. It boils down to the politics of the religion. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, we get caught in the concepts of whatever religions we are, and the what do you call that? If we let's keep it simple. We're
Mhm.
talking about we'll say baseball teams. We'll use baseball teams as an example. I'm a Yankee fan. You a Met fan.
Facts. By the
We
way, the Mets. By the way, sorry to cut you off. The Mets are the best team in New York by far this year. Okay, carry on, my brother. Carry on, my brother. Carry
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't- I don't dispute that, but I, I do love my New York teams regardless, so it doesn't make a difference. I just happen to wear pinstripes a little bit better. I like the pinstripes. I'm sorry. If it wasn't for the blue and the orange, maybe we have something. The first the first team the first baseball game that I actually went to was a Mets game. Let's get that out of the way. It wasn't a Yankee game. It was a Mets game. Okay. Since then, I've been rocking this because I like pinstripes.
on. Right.
Let's get that out of the way. From there, I like the Yankees. That's how that evolved. Then it became I like all New York teams. Period. Rangers, Islanders, New York Knicks, Jets, Giants, uh, Yankees, Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything? If I did, I'm
Islanders,
sorry.
Rangers. Islanders,
Island,
Rangers.
yeah, Islanders, Rangers. I said Islanders, Rangers. Um, but that's about it. When it comes down to religion, it basically it formulates on that same principle. My religion, I feel, is better than your religion. It goes into those categories where it's just like it shouldn't. Principally, it should be I'm worshiping a higher being and praying for those around me.
But correct.
That's what basic the basic part of the religions should and are. It's just a concept of I believe there's a higher power. I know I should be subservient to that. I understand that my relevance in life is less than something greater. That's it. It's that. It's thank you for giving me this life. Thank you for whatever. It shouldn't be a competition of religions.
No.
Shouldn't be a competition of religions. I don't care what religion you are. I don't. I don't care what religion you are, what religion you practice. It basically falls on the same principles. Every religion has the a form of the Ten Commandments where it's just moral values that you should be living by.
Right.
Now, the Chinese or Western religion,
Mm-hmm.
they do more of a natural based thing where it's just it it's almost like common sense. It's like a common science. Like treat me how you want to be treated. Everything is connected. That principle flows through every religion. That principle flows through every religion. Every religion touches on one another, whether people want to admit it or not. They touch on each other. Now, the technicalities as far as who and what and history as far as who did this and that and all of that, push that to the side. Most religions are cohesive. Most religions are cohesive in the fact that we have one deity that we're praying to and we're praising for giving the blessings that we have in this life, whether it be the longevity that we had, the progression that we have in our lives, the children that we have in our lives, the wife, the husband, whatever, the partner, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality wise, that's what it boils down to. I've always believed this. This is nothing new to me. I was raised Catholic, Roman Catholic at that, and I followed the church for a very long time. I haven't found a home in the church, but spiritually, I've always been on the precipice of having a higher power, acknowledging that higher power, praying to that higher power, and thanking them for my situation, whatever it was. Um, I understand that. You know what I mean? The religion, I don't even consider it a religion. The spirituality that I'm in is old. It's older than Christianity. I'm still learning the workings because this is something new to me. This is something that wasn't practiced by people close to me. There's a set few in my family that practice,
Hmm.
and they're teaching me. But this is old. It's old, but the value system is the same.
Right.
The value system is the same. It boils down to praise and worship. Those who came before you. My parents passed. I should praise the fact that they gave me life. Those who came before them, I'm praising them because they gave my parents life and brought me into this world. When we praise and worship, we're praying our ancestors and those before us.
Right.
It boils down to your ancestors lead to that higher being,
Right.
whatever you want to call that higher being. That's what
Correct.
it boils down to as far as that. We want to sit there and be competitive as far as religion and the technicalities of my religion is better than your religion and you're not worshiping and praying the way I want you to pray. Who are you?
So
You
that's so
do
true.
you and I will do me. And hopefully we meet in the middle. At the end of the days, we're going to be judged on how we practiced. Period.
True. True.
Our moral character will be put on a table and everything lined out, and hopefully we'll be able to be with those we who've passed on before us, and we'll be good. That's it. The bottom line is we want to meet up with those who passed before us. That's the bottom line. In
Absolutely.
this life, we want to create a life that is beneficial not only for ourselves, but those who are coming behind us and those who proceeded before us. That's it.
That's it.
That's
That's all you
it.
can ask for. And I
That's it.
wish I.
I'm not trying to get too technical in this situation. I'm still sober, by the way, and I'm still drinking. This is crazy.
Yeah. But the reason I mentioned that before, excuse me, before we end the podcast, I want to talk about people who believe in the tarot cards, or believe in the zodiac, and
No, we can
how.
go there.
But our time is short. That'll be for another podcast. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go into it briefly. I feel that the
Okay.
people who believe in the zodiac sign, I think I'm not going to judge them. They believe what they want to believe. That's one thing about me. You can believe what you want to believe, but I think believing in the zodiac signs and how people's personalities, how you shape your life based on people's zodiac signs, is kind of like dealing with life with the glass half full. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody adheres to the tail of their zodiac sign.
Eh,
People are people depending on the basis of their experiences and who they were raised by. In my opinion.
true. What I've learned about the zodiac signs, they can resemble a lot of the traits and characteristics of a person
Hmm.
born within a certain period of time.
Hmm.
It's almost a generalized type of deal. It's
Hmm.
not it's not personalized. It's not saying, well, Joe was born on this date
Hmm.
and Joe is this, and this
Hmm.
because of this, and this. No, generally, Joe acts like this because Joe's zodiac sign says this is what type of person Joe is. That's true to a certain extent. I believe that. There's certain characteristics of a Zodiac that I'm like, oh, that's on point. But it doesn't bleed into the fact that, yeah, I may have some Capricorn traits, whatever the case may be, because I'm supposedly I'm an Aquarian, and I'm also born on the cusp of Capricorn. But now it gets technical because he may have been in the moon of Virgo and this, that, and the third. So we're gonna add some other characteristics on top of that that makes the full makeup of me. But it's general. It's not.
It's so general, but people take it as word. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, it's so generalized that people do take it as word. I know we were speaking earlier about those close to us in the past, and
Leos.
Or cancer, or cancer. There was a cancer in there that were by the book when it came down to looking at.
Oh yeah.
That were looking at these specific pictures, and it was just like, I may be, but not to the degree that you think, because there's a okay. When you're a younger self, that general picture may fit your category. You may be brought up in that atmosphere, and that may be your person. But as you grow and you evolve and you become the person that you are as an adult, it changes.
Yeah, it does.
Your influence with different people changes that. Your reactions and everything like that as you grow. So no, it's not cut and dry. No, I don't take it verbatim. If I see it in the newspaper and they say, Aquarian, today your day is gonna be full of whatever. I laugh. I mean, it's amusing to me. It's amusing to me. I may take it as maybe there's something I should do in order to receive what they're saying, but not, oh, that shit gonna happen.
I think we, as we about to end this podcast, as we're gonna continue this conversation on the Instagram live after party of the TruPlayaz Podcast 3-year anniversary. It's gonna be an after party after episode, as I say. We're gonna delve more into that. I'm gonna try to invite somebody who's really deep into the Zodiac sign. I'm gonna try to get her on if she's still up. Try to get her on to join us on Instagram Live. And like I said, me being a Cancer by stubbornness. I was supposed to be either Leo or Virgo, according to my mother's original due date. But different zodiac signs, you deal with certain things. As far as my brother Joe would tell you, I grew up around a lot of Leos, and after a while, dealing with that zodiac sign can be very tiring. Tiring only because of the self-righteous, self-promotional ways of their particular zodiac sign.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, you be like, just shut the fuck up and wait your turn. Basically, that's the Cancer in me. Shut the fuck up, wait your fucking turn. It's not your turn's not year round. Okay, you got about 30 days, just like I got 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear from you for the rest of the year. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I got love for my Leos, but there's certain Leos that how can I put this nicely, without offending anybody who may believe that I'm talking about them. Depending on the typical Leo, there are a lot to be desired. I'll put it like that.
Okay, I can understand that.
It's not what they seem to be. It's not the way when you talk about a lion, right? A lion's supposed to be a leader, right? But as we know through experience, not all Leos are Leo. not all Leos are leaders.
No.
Because the fact of the matter is, in order for you to be a true leader, you gotta learn how to follow.
Right. In the
A lot
beginning.
of them don't want to follow and create a
Mhm.
facade that they're the hottest shit since sliced bread. That they did all this shit. Like Leos, I could say for sure we're leaders. Joe, you know him. I come from his DNA. My
Mhm.
father, self-made.
Mhm.
Okay, didn't have to hustle anybody to get where he's at. Didn't create a whole fake facade about himself, and said, "Oh, he changed. He grew up from his past." No, my father was who he was from the beginning of his life to the end.
Mhm.
The difference was dementia that hurt him at the end of his life. He was the same motherfucker from the beginning to the end. And he was genuine about helping people. It's not about self-promotion. He didn't look for clout. A lot of Leos that we know look for clout.
Right.
And they roll in clicks. Leos roll in clicks if you don't really notice that.
Because it's a pride thing. Like
Yeah.
they want to be a part. They want to be a part of the whole group, but they want to be the pride of that group. They want to be the head of that. So
They want to be the head. Good.
when it comes to them walking into a scene, they want to be the visual face of that pride. If
But
that makes sense.
I got you. That makes sense. Before I end it off, and as we get into our after episode on Instagram Live, a lot of them don't deserve that space.
No. I mean, I put it to you like this. We were talking about spirituality, and we were talking about that and the zodiac and everything like that. The only thing I could say in those situations is I pray that you're elevated to a mindset of maturity where that doesn't matter to you anymore. And your true nature, if you're going by what an Leo is, actually comes through. Because you get to a certain point and you should be able to see that being the forefront shouldn't matter to you.
Shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter to you.
We could all take
Being a
turns.
Yes, we all take turns. Being a Leo, if that's your thing, if being a Leo means that much to you, sometimes you have to take a step back, observe, then you create and you move forward. You create and you move forward. That's it.
That's it.
It's the same for every zodiac. It's the same for every zodiac, to be honest with you. It's that same thing. You observe, you sit back, relax, watch what's going on, and then you push forward. You push forward. It comes with maturity. That's what it comes with. Um, I have to segue, I have a tattoo on my back that is a tiger scene. The only thing missing on it is a dragon, and it's in a yin yang form. Um, but the relevance is something similar to that. One that is reactive and one that is calculating. I won't say calculating, but more wise to technical and how they handle things. Representation of my life
Mm-hmm.
and where I wanted it to go.
So, bro, we're gonna continue this on to the Instagram live when we're gonna cut off right now. I thank everybody to join us on the podcast episode. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram as we continue this conversation, this conversation will continue. Just add that if you have my Instagram name swag underscore lover, definitely check me out on Instagram live. We're gonna get on about 15 minutes, get a little breather. You can view the podcast on YouTube. iHeart Radio, Anchor, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart Radio, SoundCloud, and me and Joe, we're going to sign off on this podcast. So we'll see you on the after show. Peace.
Yeah. Peace.